So, my dear hearts, here we are in this great good day, getting ready for what? What are we getting ready for? Life, somebody said. That's a good one. Well, I hope we're already ready for that because we're in it. But for a greater expression of life, yes, absolutely, because today we're looking at awareness. Awareness. And if you go to the dictionary, you've got all kinds of definitions of awareness, among which would be consciousness and perception and cognizance and recognition and so on and so on and so on. But it simply means to be awake, to be alert, to be tuned in, to be present, to be focused, to be in the moment, and so empowered. That's how we're empowered. When we're present, awake, and alert, we are empowered, because your power is only in the now moment. It's not yesterday or the minute that has just gone. It's not the minute that's coming up or tomorrow. It's right here, it's right now, and it's the only place you and I can feel empowered and use that power for good. Good for ourselves and good for each other. Good for all else besides. And so the story goes, and it's a true story, and it's in a time when we didn't have the luxury of refrigerators. We used ice boxes. And so there was this man who had a nice making plant, and he lost one day a very valuable sentimental watch. It was a family heirloom, and he lost it, and he was very upset by it, and he wanted to get that watch back. So all of his employees and himself, for a whole week, they're searching and searching and searching the factory for this watch, and no luck. And he posted then, posters all over the place saying, if anybody finds this watch, please bring it back, there will be a reward. So the next day, after the posters had gone out, this little boy cycles up and he says, "Sir, please, may I go in and look for your watch?" And the man laughs. And he said, "No, little boy, you cannot do that. This is a kind of a dangerous place. People are carrying big, heavy blocks of ice and so on. And besides, we've all been looking in this place for over a week and we haven't found it." And he said, "But please, please, let me try. And he didn't want to hear about it. And then eventually the boy wore him down and he said, "Okay then, but you can't look now. You must come back when everything has closed up and the place is empty and nobody's doing anything with great big blocks of ice." And he said, "Well, okay." So right on the dot, as everything closed down, that little boy shows up, and there he is. And the gentleman leads him into this big, big, cold room full of all kinds of everything and lets him have at it. 10 minutes later, the boy comes out. He says, "Here's your watch, sir." And the fellow is standing there and he's scratching his head and he's going, "We've been looking for this for over a week now, and you go in and in 10 minutes you find the watch. How did you do that?" "Oh," he said, "it was very simple. I just listened for the tick." I just listened for the tick. You see, when they were all in there, everybody was a frenzy. Everybody was rummaging and pounding and doing all of that stuff, and their minds were a-go with all, it could be here, could be there, maybe it's over there. I mean, where could it be? I mean, perhaps it wasn't in here at all. Maybe it was in the office. Maybe it was and this was all going on as they were doing their search. The little boy went in there, cool, calm, nothing going on in his mind, only a listening ear, listening for the tick. And of course he heard it. Now, how many times have you and I in our days run around like ants in a trance, with all of our lists that we had to cross off, with all of the schedules we had to meet, with all of those deadlines that were pounding down on us and annoying us and disturbing us and causing us to lose our cool? The busyness of the embodiment out in the marketplace can be, tyrannical at times. Not because it has to be, but because we allow it to be. all those schedules, all those deadlines, all of those lists that we have to check off, all of that busyness, activity, all of those things teeming in our minds, demanding our attention. And because there's so many demanding our attention, we can't hone in on any one particular thing. Or when we do, we're there for a minute when we have to go over there, and then we have to go over there, and then no, what about that, and what about this, and what about... Worn out before we even start to do anything because of the craziness that goes on in the mind, and we're not able to listen to the tick. Now, awareness means your ability and my ability to focus, to pay attention, to be awake, to be present, and to be alert. We can do that one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Like the gentleman who got paid an inordinate amount of money for giving an idea to one of those great moguls way back when in the steel industry, when he said, if there's something you can tell me that I can do in order to improve my life, my personal life and my business life too, I will pay you handsomely. He said, could we make an appointment and you come back and you let me know? He said, no, I could do that right here and right now, and it's only going to take me a couple of minutes. And he said, really? He said, yeah. He said, whatever it is that's priority in your life, put it down on the list. Don't go beyond 10 things. And prioritize. And then he said, start at the top of the list. Do not move from number 1 until number 1 is done. Stay at number 1, and when number 1 is done, and if it doesn't get done in the day, you go nowhere else on the list. Next day you start with number 1. And then he says, wherever you stop in your day, whether it's at 3 or 10, you take up the next day. He says, so from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and you don't go beyond the first thing on your list, the second on your list, and the third on your list. And then you will improve your life greatly and your business life too. And the man said to him, well, he said, okay, so how much will that 5 minutes cost me now for that advice? He said, I'm not going to say anything. He says, give yourself a chance to work this, and then you decide how much it's worth to you. 3 weeks later, in the mail, in the early 1900s, he got a check for $25,000 for his 5 minutes. Because working that man's life was improved, and so consequently was everything else in his life. It's a very difficult thing to do. I have done it several times. At least I've made the endeavor several times to do that. I've never yet succeeded. I haven't yet succeeded in not at least going from the first few at the top to somewhere down here. I get better every time I do it, but I've never succeeded in just doing that. And I'm still endeavoring. And I'm inviting you to do the same, because it takes you into complete presence, complete focus on one task at a time. Now, we pride ourselves on multitasking. Especially we ladies, we do that. We pride ourselves on oh yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. Yes, we can. But we're not as efficient as we could be if we did it one thing at a time, because then we can hear the tick. Not only can we hear the tick, we can feel its pulse and its power and its energy and its intuitive intelligence and its guidance, and understand that something bigger and greater than we are is afoot here. It's going on here. And so awareness has to do with that ability to be connected, to understand the interpersonalness of life, to understand the interconnectivity of life, to understand that it's only the one thing happening and the one thing going on. Life happening as each one of us decide to express it. And remember, we can only express at the level of our awareness in any given moment. You and I are always thinking, we're always speaking, we're always feeling, we're always acting from the level of our present awareness. And sometimes we don't even know what that's about. We don't even know how aware we are, or if we're aware at all, you see. And yet that's what we're living from, because we live from what we think and what we feel and what we say and what we do. That's how we live. So So you and I would benefit greatly from understanding the importance of being focused, present, awake, and alert to every moment of our day, because no one moment is any more important than any other moment in your day. Doesn't matter what that is, but to take your whole self to it. And if you take wholeness to it, wholeness is what you get back. If you take a little bit to something, you get a little bit back. That's just the law of cause and effect. It's the law of reciprocity. What goes out comes back. What goes around comes around. And so you and I, especially those of us who are really committed to spiritually unfolding, to returning back to understanding and waking up to the truth of ourselves, we're not going to do that unless we are awake, aware, alert, and conscious, consciously conscious. It's impossible. And furthermore, we are not going to be awake enough to hear that tick and feel its pulse if we cannot embrace the mystical power of silence. We have to learn what we learned in kindergarten, to stop, look, and listen. And when we stop, look, and listen, we are awed, and it all wonders us. We are filled with wonder and awe at it all. And we have that sense of being part of, being connected. We have that sense of something greater than what appears to be going on. Because remember, everything is more than it appears to be. Every good thing is more than it appears to be. Every experience you have is more than it appears to be. And you and I need to be in touch with the greatness, with the moreness that can only be discerned when we're able to hear the tick and feel its pulse of the greatness and the power and the intuitive intelligence that is always endeavoring to express a fuller life by means of you and by means of me, always. But how can we hear that greatness, feel that greatness, if we're not listening? We're not listening if we don't stop, if we don't look, if we don't listen. It's as simple as Marcus Aurelius said a long time ago, and it's not just Marcus Aurelius who has said this, everybody says it, who has any sense of awareness. Look within. You know, and when we say, oh, Marcus Aurelius said it, that's supposed to give it more power, more impact. Look within. But there's something in you and there's something in me that's saying all of the time, look within. Look within as well as without. And when you look within, what we see when we look out is far more awesome than ever it would be if we didn't look within. Because we're seeing it from within, we're perceiving it from within. Awareness is just like a pair of glasses you put on your nose in order to see something more clearly. You put on a pair of glasses and you say, oh yes, now I see. It's a lens that you can look through with the perspective of somebody who knows then how it's all one thing, how life happening engages me at all of its levels. And I'm engaged in life happening at all of life's levels, if I so desire. It's what gives me a sense of a whole life experience, a whole life experience. And it's very simple. There's nothing very difficult to understand about being engaged, connected, paying attention, and seeing the interconnectivity of everything. So I was sharing this morning, I was in a department store recently, and I was trying to find a pair of slacks that would fit exactly without having to get them, you know, fixed. And men and women will understand that, search and hunt. But anyway, as I was doing that, I was watching this lady, and she was serving the customers, and she was so amazingly present. She was so amazingly tuned in. She was so calm. She was so effective in the way she dealt with difficult people as well as not such difficult people. She went beyond anything she had to do. She took the time out to take people and lead them to where this was and that was and the other was and so on. And I was amazed by her, because it's not often you get to see that kind of thing in retail. And I'm telling you, when I got to the counter with my pair of slacks, I just said to her, I said, you know, I've been observing you and I've been amazed. I said, you've been the inspiration in my day. You really have fed me today, because, you know, I've watched your patience, I've watched your calm, I've watched your care of people, and your ability to go the extra mile, etc., etc. And she's looking at me and she said, you know what? You have made my day. You really have made my day. And then there was a lady passing by. She said, boss, did you hear that? And then I repeated to the boss. And then we talked again. And then she said, really, I want you to know you made my day in a very big way. And thank you. Well, not alone did she give me the 10% off, but she says, no, here, I have a 25% coupon here. You're going to get 25% off what already has been reduced. I think the pants cost me something like $6.99, reduced from $44.99. I thought, oh, wow. And I wasn't even expecting that. That was just the return. But you see, when you're present, when you're noticing, when you stop, when you look, when you listen, you can be so effective in small little ways of making a small little thing can make a big difference in somebody's life. And so, I mean, it's always my endeavor, it's always my intention to be present, awake, and alert out in the marketplace, because these people who are serving us, you know, have to deal with us and all our crappiness and crankiness and so on, because, you know, people are not always at their best when they're lining up to get something checked out or something like that, and so on and so forth. So whatever it is you can do or say or feel and be to give somebody a hop, skip, and a jump in their day, we have the privilege of doing that, and it costs us absolutely nothing, and each and every one of us can do this. Do this. There's no use standing there thinking, oh, isn't she a very wonderful person? Isn't he a very wonderful? Well, tell them, let them know. Young kids serving coffee and, oh, I love your hair. It really is neat. Oh, really? Oh, thank you. Simple little thing like that. And it's the truth. You're not making something up. You're not being anything but, you know, true in what you're doing. It's just, you get to observe, you get to learn, you get to see. I notice so much more about people. And I comment instead of thinking about it in my mind, saying it in my mind. I say it out loud. I live out loud what I'm thinking in my mind, except if it was a negative thing I do. I just say, naughty Moira, don't be thinking that thought. Let that one go. Let that one go. Come back now. Send to yourself. It's not the appearance here. And I don't share that. At least I try not to. But sometimes it kind of slips out before I go. See, it's a challenge for us all, my dear ones, but it's the small things in life that make the difference. And if I am faithful about the small things, I will be equal to great good things as a consequence of that. I really will. Awareness. The stuff that spirituality is made of is awareness. Presence. Being present in the presence within me, around me, and about me, so that I can see it everywhere present, and I can relate to it everywhere present at the level of that spiritual awareness, and not at the level of the ego, human mind thinking what it tends to think. And I think to help us into that state of being present, some pertinent questions we can ask ourselves, because awareness first stems out of self-awareness. If we're not self-aware, we're not going to be aware of anything else beyond that. So we must first become self-aware. But what are we going to become aware of is the question. Self-awareness has to do with understanding who I think I am, what I believe about myself, and these are the two seminal areas that I have to look at. Who do I think I am, and what do I believe about myself? So asking pertinent questions helps us to wake up. I mean, what do I believe about myself is the first question. And then the next question is it true? Is what I believe about myself true? Mostly not. But if I don't ask the second question, I'm not going to go there. What do I believe about myself? Is this true? And for it to be true, you have to say, is this absolutely true? Is this unequivocally true? Is there no doubt about it in my mind that this is true? Well, if you can answer that in that way, then you have ascended into the brilliance of infinite wisdom. Because mostly, how can we possibly prove at the ego level of mind, at the human level of mind, that this is absolutely true? So this is a very good question for you and for me to ask this week with regard to how aware we are of who we believe ourselves to be and what we think we are. What is it that we think we are? I hope it is more than a body with a human mind. I hope we think more of ourselves than that, because this is the small part of us. I am the individuated expression of the most high infinite intelligence, empowered beyond anything I could imagine myself to be empowered by and with and in. I am the image and the likeness of a creator that is the fullness and the completeness of all good. And that's what I am in truth. And so that's why it is said, know the truth and the truth shall set you free. You've got to be in awareness able to discern the truth about yourself. Now, when I sometimes recommend to people that they look at the truth about themselves, they get all disturbed and they say, I don't like to do that because I mightn't like what I see. I said, no, you misunderstood the question. I said to know the truth about yourself, not the facts about yourself. The facts about yourself, knowing the facts about yourself can be very upsetting and disturbing and disappointing, because you can know yourself as, you know, too big, too small, too fat, too thin, too this, too that, too lazy, too blah, 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 blah. And that's usually where the mind goes to all the negative things about ourselves. Those are facts. They're not the truth. The truth about yourself is always positive. The truth about yourself will always lift you up. The truth about yourself will always advance you. The truth about yourself is the information, the realization that Spirit has of you. The truth about yourself is what Spirit knows you as, who Spirit knows you as. And if you could know yourself as Spirit knows you, you would be highly delighted, dancing a jig and celebrating the wonder of yourself. Because the truth is that you are whole, perfect, and complete, and absolutely aware at the center core of your being in your essential essence, in your essential essence. Now that's why we're all here, because we want to get back to that realization. We want to get back to that understanding. It's Troward who said that the only day wherein there is a dawning is the day in which I am awake. The only day wherein there is a dawning is the day I am awake. Awake to the truth of my being. How many days have we slept through, my dear ones, where there was no dawning because we slept through it, unconsciously, moved through it? Seize the day. Carpe diem is what spirituality is all about. Get up in the morning and know the truth that sets you free. That regardless of how I'm feeling, regardless of what I have been thinking, regardless of how much a shambles my life has been until now, the truth is I am the individuated expression of life wanting to know itself by means of me. And I can know the fullness and the allness of that life. So in the questioning of myself this week, I have to ask myself, where am I on the scale of awareness? Am I a 1? Am I a 10? Am I an A, a B, or a C? I'm not going any lower than that. Where am I on this level of awareness in my life? Where are my thoughts now? Where are my feelings now? Where are my goings on now? What is that producing in my life? How is that making me feel? How is that progressing me? Or is it progressing me? What that looks like. So we're going to be doing that this week. We're going to be endeavoring to be as awake and alert as we possibly can be present as much as we can be, focused and attentive as much as we possibly can be to everything and everyone that's going on within, without, above, below, and all around and about. And if we can manage to do that for a week, perhaps we'll want to do it for another week, and then another, and then eventually move into what already is taking place within us, that sense of enlightenment. How do we become enlightened? How do we put on the mind that was in Christ Jesus? How do we become Buddha realized? By thinking like a Buddha, by feeling like a Christ, by doing from Christ conscious awareness. That's how. We have to assume it already and begin from there. Think as a Christedly conscious person would think. Feel as a Christedly conscious person would feel. Act as a Christedly conscious person would act. Then we reveal the truth that sets us free, and we're up and at it, spiraling upwards, going forward, and we are celebrating the truth of our being, which is, as Saint Irenaeus said in the 4th century, you are the glory of God fully alive. Now, what would it be for each one of us to experience that? The glory of God fully alive. So the next time you get petty, the next time you get narrow-minded in your thinking, the next time you go into I can'ts, the next time you feel not able, unable, lacking, limited in some way, remember, I am the glory of God fully alive. That's the truth of my being. Say it with me. I am the glory of God fully alive. Say it again. I am the glory of God fully. Now say it like you mean it.
I am the glory of God fully alive.
And so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.